yeah, like creating a bunch of objects out of the sawhorse. Practically nothing.
Interesting.
Half a frame. But once you got the shop UI open. Now I know that there's a lot I could do around the way we bind list items to optimize that. So that would be a good place to look next if we care about some of those hitches. And I'm also not saying that we do. Like, yeah, we care, but is it negatively impacting people's experience? I'm not really sure.
No one has said a thing.
Right.
I don't trust my experience with it because I'm a pretty good computer, and so like mine doesn't count. But
yeah,
yeah.
It's also perf is a lot worse in editor, so what looks like a frame spike to me could just not be a problem at all in a build.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I should switch to a build soon. What's our? We usually got to kick things off with an ad, don't we?
Yeah, we should just kick it off with an ad. Just run the thing, and yeah, that sounds like a good idea. All right, it is allegedly running. Blink. Get my mouse out of there. Brah. I need to hit, I think. No, you need, I think you need, I don't know if you need to hit F11. I don't think you do. So, a little bit of light personal profiling is not the worst idea ever. Like, even just, I don't want to go like down the rabbit hole with it yet, because I don't think we have good reason to, but, oh, I'm actually in the call this time.
Yeah, I can see you.
I wonder if I'm echoing. Oh, no, I doubt it. I should probably mute myself there and go through the regular mic. We'll see. We'll see if anyone says anything. So, like, just having an FPS counter and logging something is not bad. It creates some amount of overhead, but like as long as you're not like checking 80 million things per loop, you're just doing like a time get time check between frames. Not the worst.
If I was going to put time into logging FPS, time into observing and measuring FPS in release builds, I'd want to log it rather than observe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what I'm getting at is that like you basically just want to just log some information when you're dipping below 60.
Yeah, we care about spikes rather than like average frame rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
That said, I don't think we need to do it right now.
Same. No. Part of this was just I was looking through one of the logs from a bug report, and I was like, geez, there's just a bunch of spam in here that's not really helping me. So I was like, I'm going to clean up some of those log statements. Also, logging stuff does affect, doing anything affects performance.
Right.
So I was curious, like, hey, how much does this actually affect performance? Like, did I get to the point where I was crushing the game with logs? I didn't. It saved me 3 MS, which is nothing. Not nothing, but almost nothing.
Well, what you removed saved 3. Like, at some point.
Yeah.
I think we're back. Yeah, we are back. Yeah, we just got to be careful with how we spend our time. And, you know, if someone's like, oh, man, this game is dragging, I'm not going to be like, oh, in retrospect we should have just gone crazy with it. I mean, there are a
Yeah,
couple
but
things.
also we could slowly reach a point where the game is dragging, and now I have to spend weeks with minor along the way optimizations to get back to where we want to be, when that could all be avoided if I'm keeping things in mind as I go, right? So
You should have.
part of this was a sanity check to just be like, hey, I'm noticing a thing. What's it? What is it? And
No,
now I
it's
know what
true.
it is.
It's absolutely true. The keeping in mind as you go is like mega important. Um, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Like the nice thing is this game is actually very okay at less than 60 frames a second. Like there is no I'm not saying we drop to 24 frames a second or 30 at all, but
Yeah,
there
just to be
is.
clear, I'm not saying that we need to do anything either.
I'm not saying you're saying anything. What I'm getting at is that this relative to different games, it's a different argument. If this was a game with any sort of like even light twitch to it, or something that is like exceedingly tactile, then like dipping below 60 would be like fix now. Where we're at, not so much.
I'm the pizza man right now.
You are the pizza man. It's a pizza party.
So, where do you want to start? Because I've typed out some loose topics.
Yeah.
And then we didn't talk about it. So what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about today?
Loose topics. I like loose topics. Talk to me about garlic scapes.
Oh yeah, garlic scapes are garlicky. I grilled a garlic scape and put it on a hamburger last night.
What is a garlic scape?
It is the stem of the flower of the garlic plant, mostly.
Nice.
It is one of the things you can harvest and eat when you're growing garlic. And I harvested all of it yesterday.
When do you harvest
So
them?
I've got
Hey-o.
so garlic scapes, they they're curly to start. So the rule of thumb is when it's curled around twice, when it coils twice on itself, is when you should harvest it. I was a little late. Mine had started to straighten out a little bit. But that's when you're supposed to harvest them. They also say you can leave one on the plant and use it to judge when the bulb is ready to be dug up. Because when they say when the stem of the scape is perfectly straight, when it's totally straight, that's when it's time probably to dig up the bulb. So yeah, I've had a lot of garlic. I've got mega garlic breath from eating all of this garlic. I chopped up some scapes into my salad for lunch today.
Nice.
We talked about my salad lunches before, so it's another callback to salad land for you.
For a second, I thought we were talking about the game, and I was like, I didn't know we could grow garlic in the game.
Yeah, much to my shame, as a deeply Italian person, there's no garlic in it yet.
I think we should have garlic in the game.
There's pizza like almost immediately though, so that's pretty good.
There is a pizza almost immediately. I'm not a complete failure as an Italian, but the lack of garlic is palpable. I'm saving that for an update, the garlic update.
Well, the interesting challenge to me was it's a crop that has two yields, because
it does.
You have the scape and then the bulbs.
The thing is, if we put it in, it's absolutely going to function like that. Like the nice thing is when no one can tell you not to, you can be like, why is garlic so like in depth? You're like, because I felt like it. Because I felt like it.
It's easy for you to say. I would have to change the way harvesting or collecting from stations works. How would we do that with the tech we have?
It would just be a second output.
Easy. There we go. That's
Just
the answer.
mac and cheesy.
I was like, but you have to wait 2 weeks.
If I really wanted to do it, I could like try to absolutely simulate it. I'm just saying that like you're growing garlic, you get some scapes and you get the bulb, you're good to go.
I don't know about the whole uncurling thing.
Mmm,
Yeah, well, that sounds like a sprite animation, which we've talked about too.
Yeah.
that'd be pretty.
That would
have a
Sick.
actually be a
bulb.
really fun way to indicate that it's ready to collect.
Yeah. My roommate left a bulb of garlic just sort of on the counter, and now it's like a plant.
Yeah, garlic's awesome.
Throw it in the ground.
Yeah.
The best time to throw your garlic in the ground is like in the fall.
Yep.
You
don't
can
Have access to
easily.
ground.
Well, that's
We live,
that's
we live in an
that's
apartment building with no yard. I could just
You have to do
bury
container
it.
gardening.
Home Depot bucket.
Oh yeah, Home Depot bucket. Okay, we could do a bucket.
There's a lot you can do with containers,
A ton.
but
Yeah.
it's a whole thing though.
It's a pretty plant though.
The-
Like
so
having a potted garlic like in your house is not the worst thing.
Okay.
the new wheat is growing on me. I really like the new wheat.
Oh, I'm glad.
The new wheat
Yeah.
order.
Also chunky pig hair is great.
I love the sunglasses, of course.
Yeah, I'm so happy with that. Pick.
Yeah, the sunglasses have to stay. Didn't they?
It's also like it's been refreshing to me as someone who has never worked on an artist as a game preceding this, that one of the things I like the most is like doing a poll, whatever's up there, and like seeing new art. It's like opening a present. It's like getting something in the mail that is like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it didn't dawn on me till we started pulling Luke's stuff down that like oh, I missed that. Like that treat of something visual and new.
Mm-hmm.
Which now I feel bad for artists, especially when they're solo, because all the stuff is theirs and they don't get to see that
There's
treat.
no moment where
We like it though.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because the music, I just think is hilarious that like I made it and I'm forcing people to listen to it, but like I'm super psyched now just having art updates come in and being like, yeah, do this thing.
Pleasure. I'm working on trees now, so hopefully we have some cool new trees.
That's awesome.
trees encompass a huge amount of what you're looking at, don't they?
Yeah.
Maybe second only to CRUFT.
Yeah.
What was I trying to do? Oh, I was trying to get more poop. Oh, so while I'm in here, here's sort of a side effect of some of the button stuff I've been trying to do. You can see now when you hover over a button, it has this it has a hover state now. I did not make that hover state on purpose. This is part of the default style sheet that Unity applies to runtime stuff. And I want to fix it, but it's not like stop the train, obviously. So I just wanted to point out that like this highlighting is not entirely intentional.
Sometimes the game does what the game does. Sometimes Unity does what Unity does. You only have some control over it. It's cool though. And so
Actually, I can't explain it. But
so what are those buttons you were going over though?
this is the back button.
No, go in the Chivos.
Here's the new offers button.
Yeah,
Here's
go
the
in-
trade button.
Go into a new button.
For some
like it-
reason, this one styles a little differently. I don't know how we set that up. Go into a new button. Yeah. Oh, right. So
Yeah.
I guess this is a good time to talk about this one. So the Chivo app has a new tab. This is my fast way of implementing tabs. So now in the Chivos app, you'll see a list of your to-do Chivos. Also, the scroll bar's back in all of its default glory.
Ugh.
So this is what we know. This is what's been in the game already. And then now there's the done tab. So these are the Chivos that you've already completed. And it'll just show you the Chivo icon and the rewards. That's it. Also, you might, if you're me, you'll notice that we are getting warnings now when I mouse over some of these things instead of errors. Because these were, yeah, warning. That's better.
That does feel
Anyways,
better.
yeah. So that's that. That is that thing that we've done.
Green good, red bad, yellow is yellow.
Yeah. There's a bit of like state I had to convey on these buttons in particular, because you could be on the done tab or you could be on the to do tab. Totally open to feedback and suggestions on how to actually accomplish that, what colors to use. Right now we do a bunch of green, so I just continue to use green. But I'm expecting at some point Luke is going to tell me that green is out.
I don't have anything against green.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
see.
That's exactly. We'll see. And part of why I was setting, I mentioned this is leading into a different topic, but there'll be a lot of like, I think we'll need to do some UI refactor-esque work so that we can do things like style all buttons in the phone, or treat different areas of the UI a little more categorically, get the look we want without having a bit of a nightmare on our hands in terms of busy work. And so that was sort of me dipping my toe into that, like, hey, how do I get a style sheet to actually apply to a category of things in Unity? And that was that did not shake out the way I expected it to. That was more annoying than I think it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, we'll just have to work through it. But
exactly.
the scroll bar going back to like old Macintosh scroll bars, like, but we'll figure it out.
It works though.
Yeah, the reason we changed it is because it looked bad on a phone. It does work. I'm just saying,
who's got a scroll bar? Yeah, I mean, this isn't really better, right? Like,
it is better.
Nah.
It is observably not great. It is not a like different. It doesn't harken to a totally different old school UI for a computer.
But the pill is like offset, so it's hard for me to grab it.
That's
like if I'm on the left edge of the bar, I'm not grabbing the pill, and
you do that a lot.
It's so thin. No, I never grab the pill.
Yeah.
But part of that is because it's difficult to grab.
Well, don't make me go back to your comments when I changed that scroll bar and how much of an improvement it was. All I'm saying is now that one's out of place.
Every time I work on UI on a game, I can't believe how much of a conversation the scroll bar becomes.
Oh my god. I honestly
I don't care what the scroll bar looks like as long as I can grab it. And I do agree that this looks totally out of place.
I think
that's wildly.
There's an industry waiting to happen where someone perfects the scroll bar and charges $10,000 for the code to do it, and everyone and their uncle buys it.
I feel like a perfect scroll bar is an oxymoron.
You're probably right.
Like, it's already a sign that something's gone wrong because you have more stuff than you can fit in the space you allocated for it.
I mean, sorta.
It's a hardcore position, but that's my position.
Sorta. I can see your point a little bit. But that's also like saying WASD is a, you know, on this map is a failure because the whole thing doesn't perfectly fit in one screen. But I feel you.
No, it perfectly fits.
I mean, we could shrink all of our lists down till they perfectly fit and were illegible also. We're digressing. like mad.
This is just like a nerd fight.
It is. It is a nerd fight. I'm gonna change our topic again.
Best kind.
It is the best kind. Oh, CRUFT as a topic has 1 follower.
Nice.
That is a
Cool.
massive.
Is it any of us or?
It's not me.
My mom.
Oh.
God, I hope it is your mom. We thanked your mom in the credits.
She wrote a CRUFT postcard to everyone in her address book. So
Really?
she's on the team.
Oh. Next time I see your mom, which maybe never, but could happen at some weird barbecue.
Right.
Thank your mom. Your mom's getting out there. Your mom's put more use into those than we have. I do have a stack in my truck.
I need to put mine to use as well. I also have a stack. I have a stack right over there.
I hit the road with them.
Nice. All right, so we've talked about garlic scapes. We've talked about the completed Chivos tab. Oh, we touched a little bit on the UI toolkit USS frustrations. Let me just say what I had to do so that I'll remember it more. And maybe if I forget, someone else will be like, no, you told me what you had to do. It was this. So in the UI builder, yeah, so like, oh no, where'd it go? Here it is. Okay. So like here's the button. Here's one of the buttons that has the phone button style applied to it now. That's a style sheet that's in the UI folder. There's the visual tree, which are like the layouts that you open in the UI builder, and then there's a bunch of little style sheets. This one's called phone button style. If I open it up, it's just CSS-esque code saying how much padding, how much margin, colors, border. I expect that we will add the actual stuff we want to this over time. But the trick to get it like all hooked up had one curveball in it. So you
just one
that was a curveball to me.
Okay.
So once you have that style sheet, you first need to add it to the document from here by choosing add existing. You can also create new, and that was its own little journey with curveballs that I won't get into. And then once it's in here, you can select elements like this button and type the name of it in style class list. This won't do anything now because I've already done it. But yeah, and now you can see that in this little area, it says .phone button, and it's not grayed out like these other two are, which means that it's active in the current document. But this alone is not enough to make it do anything. This was where I got super confused because I did these things, I ran the game, and the style just did not apply to the button. The other ridiculous thing you have to do is go into the runtime theme we're using and add it here in its own list of style sheets. Right now we're just using, yeah, like why do any of this? Why did this matter? Sorry, I'm pointing at my screen like you guys can see. Hold on, let me
froth at the mouth. Froth at the mouth.
Yeah, let me froth for a second. Like, why does this matter at all? Why does any of this? Why must I do any of this if I also just have to go do the same thing somewhere else? Like I don't know. That annoyed me to no end. But
that's not a curveball. That's a hit by pitch.
Yeah, like a beam. Yep, posted about it on one of Unity's Discords. No replies. Answered my own question. That's life.
You sound like you need a vacation.
I'm looking forward. Nice segue to another one of my topics here. Yeah, going camping. Camping's great.
You're gonna pack up the van.
I am. I'm gonna pack up the van. My brother-in-law is gonna drive the van to my house. I'm gonna throw cooking utensils, fishing rod, and guitar in the van, and then we're gonna drive to Western Mass.
I gotta check. I think I got a free fishing rod. There was
have a free. What kind of rod?
I gotta go check it. But I think it was last weekend. There was like a mini parade out in front of my house. We're near a baseball field, and sometimes the town, and we're near a couple of schools. Sometimes town will just be like, they'll just like shut the road down for like 20 minutes, and it'll be like graduating high school kids. That's I think what it was. Maybe it was the week before. No, I think it was last week. Maybe it was the baseball teams. Whatever it was. And so people will be like, they'll drive up, they'll park at the baseball park and like watch the little parade go by. It's a really weird place for a parade because it's not the center of town, but at the same time, it's not the center of town, so they can actually do it here. And someone, I think, was walking while they were fishing and left their fishing rod just sitting there right next to my driveway. So, like, I took it out, like, from the driveway, but I, like, left it very visible if you were walking, like, near the fence in case, like, leaned up against a tree. So, in case the person was like, shoot, I forgot my fishing rod. But I don't think anyone's grabbed it yet.
Wow.
Yeah. Bonus.
The only kind of fishing I do is in Stardew.
It's good fishing. It's good fishing. My chosen purpose in the multiplayer Stardew game that happens in my house is to go fish. Because I don't talk to people. Yeah. People. My wife is now filling that in because I haven't dropped in quite some time. She's quite the fisher person. But I would just go fish anyway because I don't care if anyone likes me. And so like my daughter and my wife would be like, I need a perfect carp. Be like, all right.
My roommate does the fishing. I can't handle it.
IRL fishing's pretty dope.
When I was in summer camp as a kid, I hated it so much that when everyone did the fishing, they'd put me aside, and I just like I just had like a tree stump that I just sat on and like drew in the dirt because it had nothing to do with me.
That's tight.
A lot
I'm
of
an
my
indoor kid.
a lot of my outdoors hobbies I picked up as a kid because it was preferable to being inside my house. My house was like chaos and for a period of time deeply infused with anger. So I would be like, I'm going into the woods.
Yep.
And I'd go pack up a tent, a bag, a fishing rod, and like a can of food and camp in the state park behind my house. I wasn't supposed to do this, but I did it anyways. And so I would just go out there and be by myself.
The wasn't supposed to is so interesting to me because it's like it still absolutely happens. And like I don't like people like will go on Instagram and be like, kids don't do anything today. But the fact that some people are
that you know about.
there's that. B, it's like everything has been just sort of like reduced to if someone says it, everyone thinks it in your little circle. But the idea for some people, especially because it's like how my kids are now, like the idea that in the summertime you'd be like out the door playing with your friends at 9 in the morning and might not come back till like 8 at night, probably dinner time.
Yeah.
Without a phone call. It's just like absolutely fine.
Street lights came on.
Some people were different way back when, but like it was no big deal. I would just march out the door. Like I'd say goodbye and I'd come back in the evening and I'd come back for lunch if I was hungry. But if I ate at someone else's house, it was no big deal. And it was like very common. Generally, I'd say around where I was going, but like that didn't always line up. Like you meet up with a friend and you're like, yeah, we're just going to go over to Tim's house. You go to Tim's house and then you run into like Ron and you're like, oh, let's all go to Ron's. And now you're just in a totally different place. And there's no cell phones. Like, absolutely fine.
I did that too. And my childhood was slightly more recent than yours.
Yeah.
Good. Some things shouldn't change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the idea of going out, your back door and camping out in the state park is like to some people, and I'm being very careful because some people literally think this doesn't. It's like it's not appalling. It's just like I think it was more common back in the day. But like even for me, like I'm not sure, and I don't like now I'm a parent. I'm not sure I would let my 14-year-old go out in the woods overnight with a couple of her friends. Whereas when I was 14, it was like no big deal to like get dropped off. My buddy Joe, we had a tent packed, we had a little bit of food, but our general point was to like try to hunt or fish what we were going to eat by the
Yeah.
time we got picked up the next day. And so, like, going around with a sling and, hitting birds or squirrels and breaking them down, going fishing.
I'm
And
surprised I didn't get worms from eating sunfish. That was like
um
catch a sunfish in the reservoir,
yeah, so
fry it on the fire.
so the fishing and to an extent the small game stuff was like you had to be careful about it, but like you there were definitely places that we went that we either wouldn't eat the fish or would like lay off of some small game. But yeah, 100% right. Could get stuff. You just cook the daylights out of it. The daylights out of it. And to some extent, it's a die roll. And that's the thing, is like everything back then was a die roll. It's like, well, all these rumors of like the infamous blue van in your town that picks children up. Like, I don't know. Wasn't true in my town, but probably was true 2 towns over. And rumor spreads. So yeah, that sums up the bullet point camping. It's good times.
Yep.
So yeah.
Let's try. So back onto CRUFT stuff. We've got some new tools. Just gonna demo those real quick. First of all, we have a couple new validation functions that I added to our suite of tests. These are for 2 purposes: making sure that an item sprite is referenced by one item template.
Nice.
So one item in data should be referencing one sprite. And so this is in the test runner window in Unity, and you can go find it here under the address tests CRUFT core CRUFT data verification. So now this one will print out the list of things that don't abide by that rule. And we've got a few stuff like beans, which I think is like a case of we have more specific beans now. And a bunch of others. I won't go through them all. Like cash money is one of the more interesting ones. Cash money used to be an item. Now it is not. Now it's not. It's a currency. We probably want to rename it someday, but doing so, I tried doing that and it broke a bunch of things that I didn't want to sort out.
Why do you want to rename it?
Because it will forever appear as a transgression in this test. This test is generally useful.
It is, but like
because it's IT underscore at cash money, it doesn't abide by the naming convention that items.
That's reasonable.
IT underscore.
That's reasonable. That part's reasonable, but
yeah,
like every item
stuff that like.
But every item in the list is not a call to
action. Live with it or not, right? Like.
But like specifically, like every item in this list is not a call to action. Like it's absolutely essential to have the list, but the goal isn't for the list to be empty. Yeah,
and maybe if we end up in a more disciplined place around tests, like maybe we have some rules that all the tests must pass to make a release, then I would change this test not to fail if there are any items in here. It doesn't really matter right now. This is a little bit like polluting the idea of what a unit test is or an automated test. This is more of like a utility to list out the things that don't fit. But again, it's just us. It doesn't matter. And no build system uses these tests, which would be a great step to take someday when we're sharing the workload among other engineers. But again, so that's item sprite files, making sure they're referenced by one item template. The other one is making sure that recipes that are referenced in a Chivo are present in at least one station. So we had a couple cases where I think I unlocked Pharaoh along the way, but there is no recipe. There's no station that includes that recipe. So I kind of got something that was worthless. So now this test will go through and perform that validation as well. It'll figure out how many inaccessible recipes appear in Chivos, and there's another list here. We've got a couple of these are actual hits and bugs, and a couple of the in a few of these are not. So for stuff like grapes, we have a few different recipes at different scales of production, and we just kind of include them in the unlock for a Chivo by in kind of an automated way. So
Automated.
well, I'm glossing over like expression matching. We do. It's not. I guess it's technically a glob expression. Right?
Don't I hand place those in the Chivo?
Don't you? I thought we.
So master crafted.
Now I need
work
to go
of these hands.
Now I have to go look.
Referred to as automated. Now we never automated.
Did you? Well, did you actually put like grapes B, C, D, and E in the thing, or
Correct.
did we? Okay.
With intent, it wasn't worth automating. Dead silence.
Sorry, I'm reading.
Darn trees. I started seeing pixels in my dreams.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Elevated life form. You're having spice visions. Coming to Kwisatz Haderach. I have had more than my fair share of.
Okay, I agree now with what you're saying. It's not automated.
I've had more than my fair share of spreadsheet dreams in my life.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, those were a couple just check yourself before you wreck yourself kind of things. And the other bit I wanted to show, just in case Luke finds it useful, the testing ground scene is now pretty much a copy of the main game. So I can open up the testing ground and just gonna check. I'll explain this in a sec. I'm just gonna check that I have a yard with space before I try to mess around. Yeah, here, let's junk a bunch of stuff here.
If you want to, you can go to
except the pigs. I'm keeping my pigs.
You can go, well, so you could open here and give yourself a pile of deeds also.
Yep. I could do that, you're right. I just want to make the top left a little bit cleaner so we can see what happens when I plug in the names of things. Also, now that I've been reminded of the way the magnet doesn't actually pick things up unless you are far enough away from the item trailing you, I want to fix that really badly.
Yeah.
It really annoys me. I want to either make the items trail slower so you're more likely to pick the item up, or I want to just totally...
You should fix it. Not do it so that the items trail slower.
Oh, you don't want me to hack it this time?
It's not a fix.
You're right. And it's not a fix that gives us new design space like more magnet radius would. All right, so now over here in the gift service object, you can punch in items to be gifted to you, and you can do this like 4 ways to Sunday now. So one way is you can go into the actual sprites and just drag the sprite. Like what's a good one that we recently changed?
I'm going to ask you a quick question, and then we're like 2.5 minutes out from an ad. But
okay.
Why is there the option to do sprites or items?
So it's just like, which angle are you coming at the question of? Which angle are you coming at the question? Are you Luke, who is working on a sprite and wants to see what it looks like in game? So if you can just drag in the sprite. For example, let's do the oak bed. I could just drag the sprite in there, and then when I run the game, it'll figure out which item corresponds to that bed and grant it to me.
So if I choose sprite,
no items use sprite bed oak. I chose poorly.
Well, that's my point. Isn't what you're entering identical?
Not necessarily. Like in that case, there was no item that corresponded to it.
But you were you entering sprite or item?
I was entering sprite. So if I add IT campfire, here we go. Now I have the campfire item.
But we do have the sprite, is what I'm saying. That's the part that puzzles me. Like, what would possibly get placed? Can you place something that is? This is very puzzling to me. So if I put in sprite, it's just going to tell me that it's not attached to an object if the object isn't made yet.
If you put in sprite, it will say, "Thank you for the sprite. Find the object that uses that sprite and create it.
Okay.
Find the item template in data that uses that sprite and create it."
Okay. I don't think then that sprite is actually useful.
It's not for you. It's for Luke, who's in here working on the sprites and doesn't necessarily need to open up the spreadsheet and find out what the item name is. Right.
I guess, except that they're mostly identical.
But they're not always identical. And you know what? I already did it, so it's not costing.
No, I know. I'm just trying to understand it because I thought it was sprite. I was like, what would you possibly place?
I mean, it's just, I just think it's a slightly better, like, I think it's just easier to use it this way. If I can go, oh, right, let me see what a lobster looks like. Boom. Now I have the lobster in here, and when I run the game, I'll get a lobster.
I mean, both of these are useful.
I don't know I don't know the ID name of the lobster, and it's a little bit of a search to go find it if you're not like a spreadsheet centric person. So there's the lobster, right? Just to finish the whirlwind tour, probably while we're in the middle of an ad. Are we in the middle of an ad?
It's starting soon.
Oh, okay.
But good timing in terms of, that's why I derailed it. It was like, all right, so before we got into the craziness of it, we're almost there. I'm gonna hit the magic button.
Yeah, hit the button. I'm gonna use the potty real quick.
Yeah. The magic button is just a camera that faces down at my desk to a piece of paper that says add BRB. Of course, it's still saying, there we go. Now the ad kicked off. I'm pretty psyched that I can just generate items now. It's so much easier to test stuff. Because like, if you think about something like the butcher stall, if I didn't have one already placed, I'd be like, did I set that up the right way? It was like, oh, painful.
Yeah.
We've got like no viewers today, and I have no idea why. It's bizarre.
It's only a Thursday.
Yeah, but like it is lean. I did change in Discord how the announcements go, but and it's not like we're generally chock full of people watching it. We had technical difficulties before. I'm concerned we have technical difficulties now. Average stream bitrate too high. I don't even know what that means. Who knows?
I certainly don't.
I also have super tiny things to paint. Oh, that's right, it doesn't autofocus. People with shovels and scythes. Dead people. I'm gonna jump on that sometime soon. Are you appreciating the cooler weather?
Oh yeah, I hate the heat.
It's like 30 degrees cooler today.
I hate the heat so much.
It was so hot. It
I
was
was
extremely hot outside.
I was sitting at my machine last night, and it literally was just like setting everything up right so that I could finally paint, and everything shut off.
Ugh.
And I was like, like even if things come back in a few minutes, the amount of heat that'll be in this room, but without the AC just blasting, like, ugh. We're about 20 seconds out. I was just saying while you're gone, well, there's like no one watching this stream.
I know.
This is like straight
We've got no one today.
posterity. I did change the and maybe I'll change it back in the Discord, but like it no longer at everybody, so I might switch it to at here. But who knows? Anyway, we're coming back in. I'll fix the camera.
Yeah, the ats are probably good.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Alrighty. So we're back, and we're talking about just a testing utility we added to the game for seeing items without having to go through the whole steps of crafting them yourselves. One way you could do it is drag in the sprite itself, and it'll kind of do a reverse lookup to figure out the item it'll create. The other thing you can do is you can paste a raw list of image files, and I get this from here's like my terminal, so I can do this kind of
You don't have any secret hacks in there, do you?
Hold left alt. That's my secret hack. Hold left alt, and you can box select in the terminal, and then
This part is absolutely sick.
paste it in here, and this will parse that out into, again, the same items. It'll strip the extension off it. So now it gave me all the items that you checked in that one particular commit. It gave me the bean paste, the alpaca fabric, the semolina, the cow's milk, fish sauce. I've never seen fish sauce. Cool. Yeah, see. And I did this literally because of what Z was talking about, where it's cool to see the new art. And I was like, I just want to see all the new art. Here it is.
So from my perspective, I can now go in on the item side and just grab whatever I want from the DB and just flop it in there and be like, oh, like,
right.
Did this recipe land in here? Like I checked in something, I think it was yesterday.
Oh, you can't put a fire. Can't put a fire in the van. Sorry.
I hope you have an adult going with you tomorrow when you go camping.
Nope.
Nope. Whatchamacallit? I accidentally so I added rice recipes, which I genuinely thought I was doing based on your feedback, Will. And then I looked it up and it was my own feedback.
It was your own feedback.
I was like, that's a great idea. I'll make Will happy with this. Do a little picture like, wee. But I made rice recipes that go in the stream, the pond, and Lake Laterno. And accidentally, like, I put something in the wrong cell, and rather than one of those three, it ended up in a mine. But I still had it selected.
Nice.
And I was able to plop it in there too, like, oh. So it's solid. Like some of the later buildings, stalls, like they're a little hard to get to, and if you haven't already built out a test that goes there, because you're working on something else, it's really nice to just generate the actual item and be able to just like not only get a sense of it, but just interact with it as if you're playing the game. So
yeah, like I can select this box of items, copy them, and then go over here. The raw sprite list has a corresponding raw item ID list that you can also paste the text into. And I should clear this so I don't get a million items. That should do the same thing. This should now give me. Oh, actually, my clipboard had the wrong stuff in it, so it's gonna not work. Cool.
What we should do is clear out wide open spaces and drop the whole DB in. There's your unit test.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good idea. So yeah, Look,
It's my
here's
good
all the
idea for the
instruments,
week.
and guess what? These ones don't have images.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Which ones are these? Note to self: oboe, clarinet, mouthpiece.
Though that's easy
Taking
to
notes.
that is well, you can't build them.
Huh?
You can't build them. That's easy to figure out. You just look in the database and see that.
No, I'm not trying to build them. I'm just writing down which ones don't have sprites.
Right. But plenty of things can just not have sprites yet. My point is that if you in the database, if there's nothing listed in the column for a sprite, that's not hard to look at.
Sure. Okay. The other thing to note about this scene is just that we put this orange border. If you see this orange border, that means like you're in the test scene. You're in the cheat scene. You're not technically in the same scene that other players would be playing in. It's identical for now. Sometimes tools like this drift, and that should be fixed if we notice that like, oh, the play scene behaves differently. But this is that's why the orange is there, just to help us remember that we're in the cheaty mode scene.
I love that scene.
That's all I wanted to say about the new tools.
Sweet. For reference, just in terms of like balance stuff recently, there's definitely some stuff that is just like absolute pain to get, like shrimp. And there's in my shudder to call it math. In my light amount of math doing it, I did find that like in several spots I wasn't really working into the calculation just how much work it was to get up to the point where you could even try certain things. And so I went in, updated fishing quite a bit, made that a lot easier. I went in and where was the other thing I listed down? Context. I messed with, got some feedback in terms of some inconsistencies with recipes that used a hammer and didn't give one back at all, or there's one of those. And there was a couple recipes that were actually just CRUFT where they didn't require a hammer, but they had a chance to give you one back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Free hammer.
Free hammers.
Oh, that's where I left my hammer. You ever like start a chore, find a hammer? I have a socket wrench somewhere under my deck that,
It is by
future traveler will find.
Nearly pure luck alone that I ever find a hammer. I'm getting a little better. I know exactly where one is in the garage, and I know exactly where one is in the house, but I've bought so many hammers based on that principle of like, I probably won't be able to find the hammer when I need it. So if I just keep buying them, they'll be in so many places that I can't miss them. It's pretty smart.
I like the new masa.
I'm glad. I didn't change it that much. I just made it bigger so it's clearer. I made all the flour bags the same shape.
Yeah.
God forbid. I will say this. Our items are a little bigger than they used to be, and it's absolutely fine. But the difference of working with we were reserving, I think, more pixels than you are. You do not need to change anything. But we were pretty conservative for a while in the beginning and going like 14 by 14 and leaving like 2 pixels on the outside. I eventually started breaking that rule myself because it wasn't necessary. We didn't know how highlighting was going to look and whatever. But there's so much clearer now, and there's so much more consistent now. But the hard lesson I learned was just like, actually, that would make 2 on each side would be 12 by 12 is what a lot of the early images were.
Yeah, it's really small.
Too conservative.
Works good in here.
If you ever find something that doesn't work, just let me know and I'll look at it.
I'm just making myself feel better saying I had to do it back when it was difficult. That's all is only ego conversation.
Back in my day.
Hey, my day really had 12 pixels. Uh, Will, we were rapping about the Blingo this morning,
Yes.
and I tabled
Oh,
it.
that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to reset my yad. Cool. A widget. Right click your band to see inside. Drag the hammer to the exit. Right click the exit to return. Right click the workbench. Craft a blingo. Tim's grandfather loves these. 2 widgets makes a blingo. Yeah. Um, I'm curious. I'm curious what other people think than just me and Z. And right now, I think that's only one other. There's only one other person here right now, which is Luke.
I had it on my list actually because I was going through all the sprites, and I see this thing that just says Blingo, and it looks like something weird, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I can't tell. I don't know what it is and how I could be making it look better.
Precisely.
I'm from hearing you guys talk, I'm getting the gist that it's like supposed to be generic and
Its intent is that it be not unlike a widget, like, you know, or a function that is foo. It is supposed to be neutral in terms of it building to something else, it being something you're ever going to see again. Um,
It's yeah. It's hard. It's really hard to think of. It's like we're in math terms. This would be like an imaginary number, right? Like it's a really weird idea. It doesn't have a real an analog in the real world on purpose. I guess what I want to do is ask why we needed that to begin with, because we could have a real item that the game does generally reward you for crafting and selling in
mm-hmm.
this spot.
There's a couple reasons. One is if I make it an item that exists in the general flow of play, and I could certainly throw the Blingo back in elsewhere as also widgets. But if it was like a general use kind of thing, then its value when you sell it would have to be set in a way where now it's not worth the 100 or 150 that it is right now. So that's one thing. Two, my intent here was that the player go through the process of just using a station once with like running a function with imaginary numbers in it. Like that kind of thing where the very first step that they do is like, oh, anything that you have the required things in the list on the left can make anything that gives you the specific thing on the right. I wanted to do that once and have it be like, all right, once you do that one time without any extra payload of like thinking about how pizza is made, thinking about this or that, just get that routine moving and then reward you for doing it with the cash money to get started. That was the actual point of it.
Yeah.
maybe there's something else that we could just like rename and then do a different sprite, like call it like a trinket, and then it looks like a little don't know, like a vase with a chicken on it, and then you sell it. That was the
Yeah,
first thing I pulled out of my butt.
yeah, like a trinket at least is, it implies a knickknack or a doodad of some sort. Maybe you even make trinkets out of knickknacks. I think widgets are fine too. I think where the current sprite throws me for the loop is that it doesn't look like a real world piece of bric-a-brac.
Good.
Right?
I mean, when I say good, I mean like that. All I'm saying is like that is the point. Not arguing for or against it. If you're saying you'd like it to be more grounded, um, I I don't I don't need to like have my arm twisted at all, but I don't know how any knickknack we come up with is naturally going to improve that. And I
Tim's shop at this point is all funny money, right? All of these things could be worth one.
that would be
The thing I craft from the workbench could be a wagon wheel, right? Like it could be.
This part of the argument I totally disagree with. They're not totally funny money. Tim is cheaper than other things, but like having a shop be like I sell you stuff for one is not the same thing as putting prices on stuff. Doesn't feel the same. Doesn't read the same.
Okay. So it could. Part of the problem was that you wanted to give the player $100, but we can't have an easily craftable item that's worth $100.
And I see where you're going with this. I think so much of the game is about buying and selling. Like in the same way you don't like it because it's not a grounded thing. Changing the shop around so that you're very like so that it feels like it has no teeth to it whatsoever by like having ones everywhere. That to me is like we'd be trading the same problem for the other side of the equation.
Okay. Part of the existence of this part, like, we could grant the player money, but then that opens up the problem where I can go in and buy things before I'm supposed to, and the tutorial isn't super tolerant for that.
And we did want, and I haven't lost this. We did want the tutorial to very much function like the game. And a lot of places where it becomes problematic is because it functions like the game. But
yeah,
we have done a lot of special case curbing in the tutorial so that you don't fall off the rails by having branching and stuff like that. But what I don't want to do is put the person all the way through a tutorial that changes drastically the functionality of how the game plays. Like that, very specifically, like I don't want this to turn into like a mobile tutorial. And we could do that.
I know. I would much rather the tutorial have some openness to it so that you could play around and learn what things do. But that just gives us this gives us some slightly difficult puzzles to solve with how we accomplish those invisible guardrails of you can't buy Tim's stuff until you sell the Blingo because you just don't have any money.
Well, that's not a guardrail. That's telling you how the game works. Is that you craft something, you make something, you get money, you go buy stuff. Like the theming of the Blingo.
It's a that sequence is on purpose so that you can't accidentally send yourself off the path that we're trying to set out.
That is not why it's in the order it's in. We're literally, this is actually from you, by the way. The very first interaction is supposed to be crafting.
Yeah.
And I agree with that 100%.
Sure, I agree with that too.
Actually, the very first interaction is going in your van, but like the first like core thing was that. So I don't know. Like if we need to change the blingo, we can absolutely change it into something else fictionally, and I can live with that. But like the order that things are in, I haven't heard a compelling reason to change the order.
Nope, nope. I agree. We're talking through it to try and figure out if there's a different way to solve the problems that the blingo solves without using a made-up object that I think some people will find confusing.
Why?
Like, am I playing a game about some Wiccan forest hex object?
Do you legitimately think that that is a big step, or B has an effect on outcomes? Because I worry more about that argument with something that's grounded. Like if it was a circle with a B on it, and I don't want it to be this, but like I would feel better about that not leading someone to thinking like, oh, it's a farming game only, or oh, I should be breaking something down. It's a chop shop thing. Now, I'm not worried about what people think long term from their very like one or two interactions, to be fair, but like I think having it be not go in a direction just has some amount of value to it. If you don't like how it looks, no problem changing it. I don't see that much difference between a. The reason it's called a blingo is because it's worth money. If you want to change its name, don't have a problem with that either. But I feel like crafting a tchotchke from a couple of widgets, like it isn't different. So like if you want to change it, but I don't think it's that different.
Okay. I don't know that anybody has gotten to this point in the tutorial and been like, what the hell is that? I'm confused about what this game is, and I don't like how that makes me feel, and I stop playing. That is my fear. That is the anxiety that motivates me to talk about this. But I also have no evidence that it's occurred. So maybe we table this again, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that it do you think by having something odd and out of place it sparks attention at all more than having something that fits right in and is mundane? I also think the average human being spends about 0.6 seconds on this thing.
That's an unfounded claim, though. You have no way of measuring how long someone spends on this step of the tutorial.
I do have a lot of experience with how much time people spend on steps of tutorials, though.
Yeah. both of us are guessing about how this step plays, is what I'm saying.
I would be shocked if this was causing a pause anywhere. Shocked. No, I'm willing to be shocked.
Mm-hmm. That I agree that you don't think this is a problem.
But it's yeah, that's not really where I'm going. That like I do. I'm not reiterating. I think it's a problem. I just mean like, um, yeah, I don't know.
Is there a way to craft something? Is there a way to
I want to understand where you're coming from better than I do.
it seems like the first moments that people spend with the game are important for setting the tone and getting people to want to play deeper. And I get what you're saying about the Blingo being kind of this, its weirdness is intriguing, right? I also just worry that it's confusing, which is not what you want people to feel like when they're first getting into your game. I think it's
I don't understand what's confusing about it. That's the part that I don't get.
that it has no grounding in the real world. It's a made up thing in a game that is almost entirely composed of real things. Like at every step of the way, I'm looking at things that are real enough for me to intuit what they are or click on them and figure it out. But the Blingo doesn't work that way.
All right. So if it is literally just that it is not grounded, like I will revert to me like that. I have no problem changing that. We want to change it to something that feels more grounded. I just don't think a trinket or tchotchke, considering they are specifically like generic terms, does that.
Okay.
All right. We'll figure something out.
I'm also happy to keep this not on the chopping block, but on the what do you think table for other people to chime in, right? Because like this is just us arguing about it, and we don't have a lot of other perspective, which would be valuable.
I agree with that.
All right, that's enough of that for now, though. What do you want to talk about next?
Oh, what else we got? I am glad that we talked about that. We got Road to Release. Broad strokes.
Yeah,
That sound interesting?
does. That sounds extremely interesting.
I should probably bring up in front of me what I already said. I can keep up with myself.
Yeah, let me bring up Miro.
Yeah, Miro. So, so the stakes sort of planted right now is that we'd really like there to be an extra level that you can go to that isn't completely destroyable by talking to the realtor and just running away. And I think that's a big one. And I didn't think at all that this was even wise for the game um, when it first started getting discussed. But the more I think about it, like for players to have something permanent. I mean, you think about something like Stardew Valley, and like you have your yard, and then you do other stuff. And in this, it's very much you have a bunch of other stuff, and you have no place to go. Theoretically, like if we ever wanted to do something like housing, how much would it stink to have to leave that behind every time? Um, I think there's a lot of value in thematically the game being about chucking a bunch of stuff away, um, but having having a permanent place to call home, like the game just kind of to me begs for it right now. The flow that we have of going, seeing the realtor, picking a new place, like I think about the smoker a lot, and the fact that like when I get one, um, I can't know perfectly where I need it. And there's only a few levels right now, but like I would need to have perfect knowledge of where there is one, whether there isn't one, or I have to have it to really understand what I do with it. And that's a pretty rough contract to sign. Um,
Just to make sure I'm following along. There's no way to discover the recipes the smoker offers without having a smoker.
I'm not just talking about list lookup. Like, do I like it? Have I used it enough? Um, Obviously, there's like visibility stuff, and I'm not trying to solve this with having your own place to go. But the idea of I go into a level, I unlock this thing, I go buy one or I craft one, and I've got it, and then like I'm not, even though I could go to the realtor and like pick a yard to go to very, very specifically, I'm not 100% sure that like I even want to go and do one of those things next. Um, the fact that I don't, there isn't a place that I long term am like pouring my heart and soul out to. Whereas, like, even fictionally, the idea that eventually through some means, like, yeah, I might pack up my van and just go to this place and spend a while chilling. Um, I can, I can definitely see right now where like this game opens up a ton. Oh, we're going to an ad in a second. Ton more possibilities. I'll pick it up when we get out of this ad. Whoop. It is still firing up, but like it's a combinatorial sort of thing in terms of my justification for it. Maybe I'll just blab for 3 minutes during the outbreak and see if I can get my thoughts to adhere to each other.
I totally get what the the appeal of the persistent yard, um, having a place that you call home seems really central in general to a cozy crafting yard populating game. I'm just not quite following yet, like what the smoker has to do with.
Yeah, so uh, the Twitch interface is such a tease because it's been saying like ads starting soon for like a while. I don't know if it's like a 30 count. If they changed it so that it literally counts down to 0, then it's like ads starting soon. If if I go get the smoker, I don't know that I necessarily desperately want to have it on the very next level I play. I
Yeah.
do know that if I pick a level now and I didn't grab it, then now I might have to go back to the same level that I was just at to go get it again, to then go to the next level I want to go to. Where in reality, like, to me, it just seems more sensible to, like, I go and get a smoker. Maybe I just leave one in my yard and I can take it with, like, and then I go home and, like, I look at what's in my yard, what I've accumulated, I still have to pack the van itself up, so I'm still like not taking infinite things, but the friction of, oh shit, I meant to grab a smoker and I didn't, and now I've loaded into this new level and I started for a bit and I'm like I don't think that it's that hard a pushback to have. I don't think you should show up to yards with infinite stuff. I think the
No.
intent of the pushback is that you can pick a few things that you take with you, but having it be such a high stakes decision, that is sort of like the inventory component. Where like even just in terms of general narrative, like I'm packing my van up. Once I have a home, why would we restrict you from packing your van up and dumping stuff in your yard?
I wonder if sort of the experience you're outlining there is also a little bit, if there's unnecessary friction there or unnecessary obtuseness in the whole, I don't know if I need a smoker in the next level problem. Maybe I won't be able to buy a smoker there. I have no way of knowing that unless I've been there. Like, is there more information that we need to provide about the next level?
I think there is. I don't know what level to which, but it would like as I started with. I don't think it's just a discovery issue. Like it, some of it is that there is just it's a single threaded experience yard to yard to yard, and that does mess with continuity. I understand that it is like the purest form of living out of your van. Um, I think we're back. Like going yard to yard to yard with only the space in your van is like the purest form of this game. Um, but I desperately want to give you a place to call home because I think that's really cool. Let me kill this add BRB thing. It makes very little sense that we would like. So one, if I have to go, if I feel like going to my house instead of playing this other crazy level that someone designed, then I can't take anything there, or I can't take anything out of my yard if we don't allow you to stockpile things in your yard, which is weird. Like I built this thing, I feel like taking it with me. If I just there's no like I don't think you need like super takebacks, but it's very easy in this game to make going into a level's a commitment.
Yeah.
Now it's not a hard commitment because you could just peace out and go again. You just pack your van up, but like that just feels dumb. And the decision at the end of a level every single time to just go to immediately to a new level, I think gets softened by the fact that like once I have a yard and I'm accumulating stuff there, I feel like I can be more prepared for something. And when I do want to go to a certain level, that's what I want to do now. In the case of the smoker, I don't have to go to a level other than one that I don't want to go to, that I've already been to, that I've already done stuff in, to do that. If that makes sense. Like if it's level A has the smoker, level C needs the smoker, and I feel like going to level B, but really what I want to do is drop off the smoker and go to level B, go to level C, grab my smoker and go to it.
Yeah.
And just having a home
just in the spirit of considering alternatives, this is going to feel a little bit like pulling up nails because we have a lot that now rides on this idea that yards don't have everything available in them. But what if level A and level C both sold you the smoker? Or you could guarantee that you bought an item that allowed you to craft the smoker.
That is in data doable, and the what that removes is the uniqueness of the experience in any given level. And eventually, like, the end game of that is that they're all the same in terms of access to stuff. And if access to stuff is like the problem with the game, then that's absolutely a route we can go to. But it is a genuinely interesting challenge. And we've gotten a decent amount of feedback on that to be like, oh, okay, in order to do this level well, I need X, Y, and Z. Whether or not I had to have done a specific level to have X, Y, and Z, I'm not sure is a huge part of the joy of that. Like, knowing that level C really is good for a smoker, I think is interesting and compelling based on what I've read. But having to do specifically level A before level C is not. And some things...
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, in my own travels through the system, it does feel obtuse that, you know, I might not be able to do X, Y, and Z on this level that I happen to be at.
And there's two things here. One, I have made a lot more things more common across levels. Like the magnet right now, you just buy it. The you know, with obviously certain things have exceptions, but like the DPW is consistent except in the one place that's not. That's literally what makes that level, and it's interesting.
Yeah, the DPW is consistent. The hardware store is generally
pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And so, you know, where I'm going is that, like, all right, breaking those rules sometimes is one thing, but the entire grid of crafting should not feel like the DPW all the time. It's almost like it's like too much variance. You want there to be uniqueness in the level and be like, oh, I feel good that this would be a good level for X, Y, and Z reasons to, like, go for the sausage achievement. Oh, what do I need for the sausage? I'm going to pack a smoker. Now, even if I could use the smoker there, it's still an advantage to show up with one and get fired up. But what sucks is if you didn't really put those things together, or like, you're like, shoot, in order for me to do this thing that I want to do, I have to go back and play through another whole level to do it.
Tell me what it is about, continuing with the smoker sausage thing.
Yeah.
What is it that actually makes a level good for smoking sausage?
It could be, and yeah, obviously this case may break down, but like it could be that it's got a cheap or nearly free thing to raise pigs in. It could be that Otto is selling pigs at a really good price. It could be that it's really easy to produce feed, and I know I want to grind through a bunch of these. You know, obviously pig is very common. It's like right out the gate, one of the things after the tutorial that is like easy to do in pig cycling. But, you know, when you start getting into like iron bars, then it becomes like, with good reason, not as easy to like put that grid together. And so, like, yeah, I can look at the map and see if there's an iron mine here, but, you know, the forge isn't here. Okay. Like, but how many times do I have to go through and work with a forge before, like, the requirement to do that level that I'm building it in isn't as big a precursor to go into the level that I want to use? I guess it's just like, to be frank, I think the majority of the argument for this is actually just having a space to call your own and having it be extremely weird that you can't put stuff there, or take it out.
Yeah.
That part is like,
I'm like, just based on feels, I'm for it. I'm not trying to get in the way. I'm just trying to make sure we get the best.
Yeah, like if I want to put a smoker on my
screwed on straight before we start making it happen.
Oh, absolutely. If I going with the smoker again, if I want to take that smoker and put it on my porch. My porch. That's awesome. If I'm going to a place that I know I need a smoker and I have a smoker on my porch and I have a van that I drive around and that smoker becomes off limits, that stinks. But yeah, it's I think there's enough and there's going to be more stuff in the game where once you've worked with something a few times, and it does take up space, both to and from the house. I think we still get the same feel of limitation of showing up to a new yard, even if the selection of things, as long as I've made or bought them already, as long as if the selection gets a little bigger over time, that I think feels good. And I think it feels very crufty to just start hoarding stuff.
Yeah, I was I was about to say this is a hoarder feature.
Yeah, like, oh, I go back to my house and it's like
I'm just gonna stash everything.
I'm just gonna stash stuff here, which could end up with its own level of like interesting pushback. Because no matter what, it is a fixed amount of space, even though we'll probably make it massive. How many smokers do you need?
So let's talk a little bit about what the next. What is the next most important thing we can do to get to this goal for a place to call home? I know that like it's easy to kind of go broad with this. We're like, yes, and I can build a house with walls and rooms and gardens and paths, right?
I ain't even promising that, so it's a point taken. The easiest path.
Well, yeah, I know that you're not promising that.
I know.
I'm saying it's easy for me to envision all of this.
The,
going nuts.
The easiest first step is a persistent space.
Yeah.
Which game and narrative wise would be like, guess what? It's almost like the realtor works for the mob. Like you do enough stuff for him, and then eventually he's like, here's a little piece of property you get to keep. I think it's literally a blank space that is persistent that I can navigate to via code on the phone. I pack up and I move.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So persistent yard via a code sounds pretty much pretty minimum. That's definitely that's pretty minimum. So I'm on board with that.
Sweet.
Using the code. Using the code even feels kind of cool because now we have an opportunity to introduce this like hidden input for choosing levels and using it to get to your persistent yard.
Sneaky.
Means I don't have to do a bunch of UI work. I will have to do some tutorializing stuff again. I think the part that's going to be tricky is the persistence. It would be no big deal if this was a new type of save data, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do, right? Like we had stats being tracked, like your CRUFT in your money, and that is kind of per yard, and it gets wiped when you leave your yard. And then we were like, okay, well now we need meta progression. So here's a meta.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a list of meta stats you have, like unlocked recipes and starting deeds, and maybe that yard gets shoved in there, but that might not work. Not sure. Either way, trying to get something that it's a class of thing that is currently per yard, and its save structures are all wiped out when you leave. So adding an exception to that rule will just be the thing. That'll be the trick for me to figure out and what I need to do to make this happen. So, but again, well, not again, but either way, we're kind of regardless of all this, we don't need to dig too deep into it at this point. How I'm going to do it.
Yeah, we just need a foothold so you can
Yep.
get gears moving.
So what else? What else are like the big? What I'm hoping to arrive at is some sense of like, okay, these are the big updates we're going to make along the way.
I feel like you asked a question but stopped partway through
I felt like I had more to say, but then I didn't.
it. Do you want to just move
Should
on to the next column? Does that work?
yeah, like I mean, should we be? I guess the question is, should that be our goal right now to try and sketch out what these like relatively larger updates along the way, what these milestones is a loaded term, but like they're milestones, right?
Yeah, I also don't think that they need to be this one, then this one, then this one. Like, I think they're going to work in layers. Um, I don't I don't think it is either a safe or even beneficial to be like, let's get this home space as completely developed as possible before we move on to something else.
Yeah,
Um, I think all of the things we have in here under P1, P2, P3 have need some breathing room and some usage with. Um,
yeah. Well, I guess maybe what I should really say is, do you agree with these things that are slotted in here for P1s, P2s, P3s?
I think so. Yeah, I do.
And like vehicles, power consumption, location features, sprite animation. Location features and proximity effects are like really old designs that we haven't talked about in a long time. They're kind of related.
Yeah.
What about sprite animation?
I think that is on a separate thread. That is a that is a near completely technological and aesthetic combo that we just need to find
Yeah,
traction for.
it's on the roadmap, but
Mm-hmm.
it probably doesn't bubble up to this like more like marketing focused
It
milestone.
neither blocks nor enables anything else that's on here.
Yeah,
It's high value, but it is like I don't think it's a trade for anything else except in terms of time.
yeah. Okay, okay. So what else do we need to talk about then?
Do you want to talk about the entry point in like? Do you want to discuss at all things other than the home I go to?
Yeah, so
Can you zoom in a little bit?
talking about narrative and character stuff.
Yeah.
I think
So
your words are actual character love. Oop, log character love.
yeah, update that to lust.
I was going to say, what kind of love are we talking about here?
Professional love, which obviously is its own loaded statement. Um,
Narrative, and we've been calling it characterization.
yeah, I think that
Maybe
works.
that's more sanitized, but also less ambiguous.
Characters need love. So,
A fun way.
so the thing here
Am
is
I
that
marrying the characters? Is what I'm.
yeah, it's we're not going full Stardew Valley with them, but I think so. So your relationship with these characters is right now they're just shops that get unlocked. And I think we've always wanted them to be more interesting to than that, and carry more weight in the game um, than they do right now. Like, there's a reason why we didn't just make every single entry in that phone um, a faceless, hardware store. And so when I say we're not going full Stardew Valley, it's that I don't expect you to walk somewhere, see someone in real life, decide that they're attractive, decide you want to woo Sebastian rather than Marnie, do all that. Whether or not you can have a relationship with them that improves or devolves a bit, that's on the table. Whether or not I don't want in this game uh, the focus to turn into wooing Tim in terms of like your primary goal. Um,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with wooing Tim. I actually love Tim. I love Tim. I love getting texts from Tim. Um, and I'm not just trying to keep Tim for myself, but like as far as what the game is and what we're trying to do with it, I think that improving your relationship with Tim might be cool and have consequences. But I don't want it that every player is waking up in the morning going Tim, 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 Tim. Like that's what I'm doing. I think it's just a different game.
Yeah, so I think I have a pretty solid idea of like what we mean when we're talking about triggering character dialogue. We have some set of situations where we might want a character to send you a message about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives us a lot of legs for just fleshing out who these folks are and what your relationship is with them. Why are they talking to you? Why might you want to listen to them? Like whatever. The changing relationships part, and maybe this is an invitation to go deeper that you should decline, but like what sort of things are we talking about then if we are trying to work out a system by which my standing with Tim may change? Like this is like a perilous, not perilous, but this is, you know, I think a lot of games try to do stuff like this, and it always ends up being like some sort of alignment system,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, super reductive good feels system.
Which I gotta tell you, it's not the worst thing.
I was about to say, like, yeah,
It.
we
I think.
need more than that?
Um, from a very like sterile perspective, I don't think I would go uh, much further than the more I interact with someone, and if they have requests, complete them. Like the better my standing with them gets, and maybe there's some reward for that in the future. That's probably about as far as I'd go. Like if Tim keeps like pinging you for pizzas and you just keep sending Tim pizzas, and eventually Tim likes you, then maybe sometimes Tim pings you back and he's got stuff for you. Like that'd be cool. And that is somewhat captured in what his stores do, but will never be captured perfectly. Um, like I could imagine a case where that's how it goes. But I think as far as like the core of this goes, the core, um, I think this gives us the opportunity to add more characters without being bound to adding more stores. I think we absolutely have room for a character or two that are informational. I think there's great opportunity to solidify what the characters in the phone are by getting interesting quips that sometimes are based off of what's going on and what you're doing in the level, and sometimes are just kind of like someone shooting you a text to say hi, someone, drunk texting you. And I don't mean that they say inappropriate things. I mean that like people do text each other for other than utilitarian reasons, and those things tend to be very much windows into the person. So, something driven by game. I could see the realtor shooting you a text to, she's not stopping the game. You just get the little the little like fortune cookie size thing saying, hey, like if you ditch this property right now, like you're getting 3 Chivos. And we just trigger that whenever you've got like 3 Chivos waiting, just as like a reminder, which sort of can put the player more in. I'm not saying that they do it and they could thumbs down it or ignore it or whatever, but like that the realtor would do that sort of reinforces that flow of the game. It might be a really interesting moment for you to just go back to the Chivos app and be like, oh, I do have 3. Ha! Maybe I will leave. I could see it being used in a given level to sort of just inform you a bit about the place. And maybe sometimes that's gamey, sometimes it's not. but our game is not exactly payloaded with a ton of immersion into a world, and I don't want to go like bat nut crazy doing that. But I think we're way over on the other side of the scale.
Yeah. Yeah, like to some extent things will break down if we try to pretend that there's more going on here, right? Like I've just got a bunch of crap on the ground. Like that's
it's that is true, but that there is I mean, even in a purely utilitarian sense, um, I don't want to make games that only appeal to the spreadsheet, and even some of the most spreadsheety people really get into cute lore about what they're doing.
This is the first bit that's really not like even a persistent yard where I can like mule items around, like that's still spreadsheety, right? Like
I mean, why get an artist if it's purely a spreadsheet? You know, there's a we got room to grow in terms of the game's immersion and fun outside of the mechanics.
Yeah. Let's have a quick battle between P1 and P2 here. If a place to call home is leaning deeper into the spreadsheet stuff, and narrative and characterization is a dimension that we have previously not explored much, should we be doing narrative and characterization next?
I don't think it's one or the other. I think we do a very digestible layer of at least P1 and P2. And then we do it again. We do it again. We do it again.
Right. Maybe these aren't really here.
Tchotchke.
How do you spell
it's tchotchke? It's a hard word, and I don't remember how to use it. I don't remember how you spell it. I do remember every time I've looked it up being like, huh. Yeah.
Oh, he's got it.
There we go. Thanks, buddy. It is a sweet word.
All right. Okay, that's less confusing.
Though I do think tchotchke
less
is
misleading.
I do think tchotchke is. I wouldn't touch Steam Workshop until later, but it could have my arm twisted. It may have to work in layers too. Like some
amount of that is going to get that. There's a category of string and sprite optimization work that we might want to know how this stuff goes down before we care about it. But that's still a nebulous threat rather than an actual thing that we know we need to work on.
I love nebulous threat.
We just start. I mean, the Tyranids are a nebulous threat. They're
yes.
coming at you from the wrong. What the heck was I talking about?
We should.
Yeah. I don't think we need to worry too much about it, but
we should flesh out what
there might come a point where we're like, we need to do this now so that we don't waste time with perf problems. We started off talking about perf stuff in the conclusion there, just to bring it home for anybody that just joined us. Like, we really don't have perf problems right
now. We should flesh out tchotchke though. Like, user-generated sprites. A lot of the argument for that as a line item preceded us having an artist. It was like, well, someone else thinks that they can do better, we should let them. That said, though, if someone wants to make an item, if someone wants to make a recipe, if that item's a station, like, that stuff is pretty profound, and I think would be a fine bye-bye, dealers out, like ship
Are
the
we
game.
talking about user-generated item data in crafting recipes then? Because that's different than letting you plug in your own sprite to make it look like
I
Warhammer
I am
crafting.
specifically I am specifically saying I want to make my own station and everything that comes with that. Inputs, outputs, the enchilada.
That is a much larger
I know.
ask than letting people plug in their own sprites to skin the game the
I
way they
know.
want.
And what I'm getting at is I care less about people skinning it today than I did 2 weeks ago.
Fair
Sorry
enough.
to interrupt. I have to take the dog out to pee.
Yeah,
That sounds very legit.
go ahead.
In fact, I have to take the dog out to pee, and I don't own a dog, but I am going to hit the add button because we're coming up on one in a couple minutes anyway, and it's much easier for me to just slam the button.
All right. I'm going to play a video game while you guys do that.
Awesome. So you want me to leave the camera up?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
There's a whole system of user-generated symbols in Luck Be a Landlord. One, I've never played that, but I'll have to. Two, is that replacing Vent with the compost epiphany? Roguelite roulette. I like it. Ecosystem of user-generated symbols in the game. For some reason, my brain jumps to like the Dark Souls thing because I've been playing Elden Ring. That like you can write hints on the ground. Some symbols are new, some are replacements. Okay. What is the function of the symbols? Like, what is their purpose?
Hold on, I'm finding a. Boop. There we go. There's Sarah. Doink. Found the compost bin. Thing's mad OP.
Thing is OP. Oh, okay.
Pig cycling. Awesome.
Yeah. Warrior's talking about a game called Luck Be a Landlord. Have you played it, Z?
I have a lot. I've
Okay.
pulled that trigger a ton of times. I honestly think it was the precursor to Balatro.
Interesting.
It was very much it's like extremely pixely, um, but it was like I think it was the first really solid take on a casino game that's not a casino game, but still is a casino game.
Okay.
I don't know that it necessarily
Oh, right.
inspired Balatro directly, but like it definitely like put a little like pinhole into possibility. I thought I hit the ad button. Now it's telling me that there's an ad starting soon. I guess I didn't push the button. Balatro added some weird cosmic dread vibes. Yeah, that's absolutely. Though the idea of being evicted is pretty cosmic dread that I feel every day. Now we are in ad starting soon mode. I feel pretty good about pushing a build. We should obviously play through this quite a bit.
Yeah, that's why I
Just
was kind
like,
of getting
yeah,
started.
like driving on home, but I am gonna bundle it up. Fact.
So this was one of the spots where things broke. I'm gonna quit here and then run again. Aside from adding tools and the completed Chivos panel, I've just been trying to make sure the tutorial breaks in less ways. One of them was if you quit and resumed the tutorial while it was highlighting Tim's portrait in the home screen, it would break, and it didn't break. So yay.
Yeah,
This is a kind of weird.
I have put the add BRB thing up also.
This is broken though. You're not supposed to see these yet. You're not supposed to see this at all. Look at that. I'm not even done buying stuff from Tim, and Trevor's ready to like get me the hell out of here.
That is bad. Oops.
Cool. Oh yeah, look how broken that is. Oh yeah, and this doesn't even work. Wow. What the F happened there?
Did it fail silently? That would be amazing right now.
Oh, I'm sure that my log is filled with errors. It's just that was a build, so there's nothing in my console.
At what point did you quit out?
Right when the tutorial told me to open Tim's shop. So it's when it highlights Tim's app icon on the home screen.
Why would that kill it?
That's
it seems
what
like,
I want.
yeah, like that feels like a very settled spot to piece out with.
I mean, I just changed code in there. Sequence contains no elements.
Did you sabotage the code?
Added a bunch of locked stuff.
I think we're back.
Sequence contains no elements comes from
I'm going to catch people up.
one of the. Okay.
We found an issue during the ad break where the tutorial broke by ducking out at a certain time. So here we are, scraping logs.
On item. Oh, I wonder if this is my logging change.
The log. It's like the butler.
I also wonder if it just repros like right here, right now. Yeah.
Oh, you mean just when you show up? By hitting play?
Well, I did that. I made it a little bit more broken than I probably needed to by leaving. Bunch of null refs here. What is this?
Did this not?
Right when we're setting the location, huh?
That's a little like. Is what you're running to based off of like the save state? Because like, wouldn't you have run into this before? Like I wasn't looking. Did you literally just hit play and it was like?
Well, so I had broken my game. I had broken something about the way the game was setting up that tutorial step. And because it allowed me to open the Realtor app and move to a new yard, I did. And so that part's kind of invalid. Do need to do some more testing though right now.
Did Tim break it?
Don't blame Tim. Tim's not in here changing code.
I don't know.
Okay, so this is the step where I shut down the game, restart the game.
Come on, Red. Hmm.
No repro.
Tim wants to sell a new debugger. Touche.
I guess it wasn't technically that step. It was a different instance of that step. It might have been further in. It could also be a release versus debug build thing, which would be awful
Mm-hmm.
for me. Awful for me who wants to go on vacation tomorrow.
I mean, you're going on vacation tomorrow, so it'd be.
Yeah, you might not be. Well,
we just wouldn't put a build out, or we put it out knowing full well that people, if they
we'll
literally
see
quit
how
during the
easy it is
tutorial,
to
will come
actually
back and
repro
blow it
this.
up.
Oh, I like this new text. Cows are stations too. Is that the first time we used the word station?
No. I think the very first step.
Oh, your first crafting station. That's out here too.
We sold another couple copies. Ship it.
Okay, so now here's that. Shut this down. Play again. Open this. Nope, still fine. Keep going, I guess. There's one more open Tim's shop step, and if that doesn't repro, then I'm gonna have to go back to the build. The log file. Oh, I have another log file. Let's look at this one.
Another log file.
This is the one from before I shut it down.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The prev.
Step 29. Click here to open your phone. What are we on? No, we're already past that. We're past the point where I reproed it. Yeah, the prev looks good. Nothing. No errors in there. Okay, buy all Tim stuff one last time.
Do it.
I choose to quit instead.
Haha.
And then play. And open the phone. Nope. Looks hunky-dory in here. All right, back to the build. I wonder if I just jump right into it at that spot, will it be broken or not? Yes,
Did you break it?
it is. It is just weirdly broken in the build.
I wonder if that last one is just forked differently.
Okay, 4:06 p.m. That's just now. What do you mean by forked different?
Like, I just wonder if that one case of buying all Tim's stuff has preceding stuff that's different in ways that the other times you try to go to Tim's shop aren't. And so, like, the way that the whole path is forked, maybe something's choking that way.
But
You know how we
so
check for multiple
this
things in some
this
spots?
was on step. This was on step. This was on a different step. So the first time I saw the bug, it was on step 29, and this time the bug was on step like 30 something.
Oh, okay.
There are 3 different instances of telling you to open Tim's shop. And so far, I've seen the bug on both the second and the third instance of doing it. I've seen it every time in a build,
except for the first.
in 0 times in editor and debug.
Right, but you've never seen it on the first step.
That's true. I've never tested it on the first step either in a build.
Now I understand what you meant.
It'll probably reprobe the first time. Actually, let's find out.
Yeah, it doesn't. I just went through the interface. We can't rediscount it for the summer sale. They're still in the. It's still in the window. And let's see, 26th is not going to be 30 days. So yeah, if you hit your 30-day cooldown during the sale, you can add it to it. But good to know. Not that anything would be different right now.
Do you mind testing something?
I do a little.
Okay.
And not for personal reasons, but streaming has been sketchy enough that, like,
Okay.
running intentionally into crashes, I'd rather not do.
Look, I didn't even need to quit. It's just showing. It's just showing these pages right here, right now.
Interesting.
So what the F? Why only in a release build?
Which may mean it's been this way the whole time.
That's what I was going to ask. Is this just a bug currently in the game? Find that out too.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Yep.
Oh, you're going. Yeah. Look at you, Detective Will. Good thinking. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Oh, but my my progress. Goodbye, progress. Oh, I just blew right past it. I didn't even
Oh,
think.
snap. Someone else is streaming us right now with 15 viewers.
Oh, snap. That's great news.
That is great news.
I hope there's not a Class A tutorial breaking new player destroying bug with this particular interaction. All right, let's try again. This time, don't blow past the part where we repro the bug. Sell this thing. Sell these things. See, now it didn't happen.
That was the first time, though, right? And
This is the first time.
You've never actually reproed it on the first one. There's
There
legit
is-
some dude streaming us right now. This is amazing.
That is really exciting. All right. Nope, still not broken.
Should I drop in and make him paranoid?
No. I don't know why I say no, but that's my gut reaction to your question.
Yeah, I know. If he's still on when we're done, I'll drop in there. Oh, we could raid him.
I would lurk.
I know.
Rating's not a bad idea.
Nah, I'm
I
gonna
bet
let
you
him do
I
his
bet
own
you this
thing.
I bet you this bug is new and something I changed. I have an inkling of what it might be.
What do you think?
There's a spot where I assume that there's an item in a list, and there might not be an item in the list. That's what I think. It's in the reduced logging. We used to log inside a for loop every time you were granted or destroyed an item. And instead, I pulled the log out of that loop and said, and just log the first item in the list. But maybe the list is empty. That would be a pretty obvious.
Oh, it's a list is empty.
And it would have been fine before because it just wouldn't loop if there was nothing in the
Right,
list.
you'd never get into it, so.
It begs the question: why am I firing events for item creation and destruction when no items were created or destroyed? But
that was good. That was going to be my next.
One step at a time. Yeah. See, this doesn't repro in the current live game. So this is new. With something I changed. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I know what I want to know. Let me try this.
I do think that there's like an interesting thing here because generally speaking, a lot of people talk about logging as if it's this benign, overly benign thing.
An absolutely
And it
crash
is-
the game with a change to a log statement.
Yeah, and like you should still do logs, but even at the start, it might have even been a couple minutes before we got in here, or maybe it was a discussion earlier today. Logging affects perf. Like logging is writing real code that does real things and
Yeah.
is.
Unless you're using one of those fancy log statements that is literally compiled out of release builds. But we actually see the opposite here. The bug happens in the build, but not the actual game. Actually, that raises an interesting question about my logging facility that I should maybe look into more. There are definitely things about logging that have to work differently in a build because we're no longer piping it to the Unity console. We're piping it to a file, which is really different as far as like I/O goes. Anyways, I need to find where I actually made this change so I can then roll it back. So give me a sec.
I don't care if this guy's absolutely dunking on our game right now. I'm so psyched that there's someone doing this.
I know.
And I just happen to arbitrarily, not
So
unlike
hyped
you've.
up on it, you know, like we're operating on a certain budget here.
Yeah, I know, but not unlike you just like deciding. I mean, obviously it was a thing you had concerns about, but you're like, oh, I'm just gonna like in the build, I'm just gonna quit out during this weird step in the tutorial, and like, oh, that breaks everything. Like, some of what
Yeah, that broke everything.
finding stuff is just finding it. It's got 19 viewers. I'm so happy. Anytime someone takes the time to play this game, it brings me genuine joy. Spring leaf.
Yeah, let's see if that helped. Oh, right, and then it didn't actually repro here. It only reproed one of these.
One of these?
One of these builds. Ooh, son of a.
But do you need to start over and go through the whole thing, or do you think you just popped it again?
No, I think I just popped it again.
All right.
I think the change I made was sound, but it wasn't related to the bug.
Sweet. I should hit the collaborate button on this guy. Just drop into his stream with our stream.
What does that feature do? That's
I've never used it correctly, but essentially you can set up windows so that you can basically have the other person stream in your stream. So like you can imagine if like you were painting one night, you're a streamer, and I'm painting one night, and I'm a streamer. We're both buddies. You could hit that collab button, and you go boop, and like this pre-set up space on my stream would stream in my content, and vice versa.
Hmm.
I've seen it done the right way. I've never done it the right way myself. Admittedly, I shied away from it pretty quickly. So I was just like, man, I could barely maintain my own thing by myself. But yeah, I don't know. They're pushing it pretty hard, but yeah.
So I have not successfully attached debugger to the running game before, so this will be a little bit of a figure that out. Hopefully that just works.
Back.
Welcome back.
We found a bug.
Ooh.
Found a good one.
How's the dog?
She's good. She's very picky about where she does her poops, so it's like a half-mile walk.
That did not break.
With the exception of the half-mile walk part, I can sympathize.
Yeah, I don't mind.
It's good to get out there on a day like today. That must have been garbage the last couple days.
Oh yeah.
There's someone streaming our game, and it's not us. Ah,
I have a fun random question.
yeah.
Is the sausage cooked or is it raw meat?
The sausage is raw. The smoked sausage is cooked.
Thank you. I want to know which one I had to put on a plate.
Yes. I think he's packing up his van right now. I'm literally just watching this guy from the topic page. So like he's not moving or anything. Everyone's like he like updates his screenshot like every 5 minutes or so. I think he's packing up. Claiming your Chivo, you actually claim it when you pack up and leave. Applies to subsequent playthroughs in new yards. Yes. You have to throw almost everything away in order to claim it, but you come back stronger. Yeah. Deal
feel
with the
like
devil.
Yap had a similar. He alluded to a similar stumble point. He said, "How do I?" He said, "Once I figured out how to claim my chivos," and then said a bunch of more awesome stuff.
The only thing that makes complete sense because the only thing we actually say about Chivos is in the like hasta la vista part of the tutorial where like and check the Chivo chaps to track your progress.
Yeah, yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
I think that's on us.
Yep. All right, so I'm currently looking through what I changed when I was working on tutorial bugs, because clearly I've introduced a new one. The bug doesn't repro in the build. It doesn't repro in the current version of the game that's available on Steam. It does repro when I make a build locally. It doesn't repro in editor, which is extremely frustrating.
That is pretty weird. It also leads you to a very terrible state.
Yep.
Like if it was pack up and leave and I go to the next yard, that'd be one thing. But that one time it was like pack up and leave and see broken screen.
Yeah. Try to be sober for a moment as a sober person, always. The repro for this appears to actually be pretty common because you don't even have to close and relaunch it. You just need to do the realtor stuff when it shows up in your phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look, like it's just here. It's just I just started my game fresh, and here it is. And I can leave right now. I can skip the tutorial,
But that's because you got
and then
yourself
my
in
game
a.
is broken.
I feel like I played the game today based off of what we had built, and I wasn't running into that at all.
I can start walking back the changes I made to figure out which one it is, and that might be my best bet. Actually, my game is not. Now my game is not broken. My game is fine. I have not done the magnet. I have not done the magnet Chivo though, and I never can.
That's redefining fine.
Yeah, I don't. I think we need. You probably agree. We need to fix this
Yep.
to make a release. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to pull it together in time to do a release today.
I doubt it, and I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, right. I already screwed that up. Artisanal corn sells pretty well, doesn't it? Yeah.
No bueno.
I'm so confused why this doesn't work in the real build. It's got to be an initialization order thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like here, they're fine. This is the same save file. Same project, just running an editor.
So it's obviously it's choking on something when it tries to load that thing up.
Nothing is choking because I get no errors. It's just it's working properly. It's working as designed. It's just blowing past the part where we. Here's what I think I need to do. Speaking of logging, I need to log something. Somewhere in here where we're. Oh yeah, this is it.
Logger.log.
Um,
To 21 viewers. Oh, lost a couple. I'll spy on him with my other account. I'm sure he's very nice.
yeah, I'd much rather be spying on someone playing the game than try to fix this stupid bug. Okay, so now I have a log statement here. This is something that I probably need to figure out a better way to solve as like an engineer. There's this whole system of controller classes, and some of them need other controller classes so that they can work. And the order that they spin up is kind of in the order that they're asked for. So you can get into a weird situation where you move some code around and now things are coming online in a different order, and that could change how things behave. You don't want that, and you try to build things so that that doesn't matter, but that might be where we're at. I'm not sure.
Can you just way at the head of things explicitly call them all out in the order you want? I mean, they're all single.
That
They're all
that
singletons, right?
that eliminates that kind of ruin. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that is undesirable. Part of the reason you use dependency injection is so that you don't have to care or maintain an initialization order.
All right.
The real fix is making it not matter which order things spin up. If this is the problem.
Or
I'm just
making it
spinning.
what you've proven is that it absolutely matters what order you load the stuff.
I
Well, okay,
haven't proven that
so not
yet.
proven, but like it does matter the order. What you're saying is you want it to be self-governing, not that it doesn't matter. So that you don't have to continually update it. Like it should be smart enough to go, oh, I need this. Okay.
And that's one of the big things dependency injection gives you is that if location controller needs items and shops and vans, then it makes sure that those exist when it's time to make the location controller. And then you end up with a crazy graph of, well, the van also needs this, and this, and yeah. Maintaining that yourself is a headache. Letting dependency injection do it for you is very nice. But yeah, and this happens a lot on the UI side because I have a bunch of UI stuff that's in Unity land and not governed by dependency injection. And those go, okay, let me know when your cache money changes. But if the thing that sets your cache money fired off before that system was online, it misses it. And so I have to be like, well, check the cache money when I'm starting up and set it appropriately. And call me back when the cache money changes. And some places I haven't done that as thoroughly as it should be done.
Kind of a lark, but speaking of things that are not governed and the UI, do you think the fact that like it is on the phone, do you think the UI is hosing it?
Kind of, yeah. It's definitely a UI problem of some sort. Right. So I need to log when this gets enabled, and I need to log when the home screen UI starts doing its stuff.
We haven't had in progress.
How do I target? Oh, this doesn't do shit anymore. This does like nothing.
What elucidate?
I have this controller class for the home screen that does almost nothing. It only lets other objects tell it what it wants to highlight.
Sweet.
Like Tim's app. I wonder, that's part of why it's broken now. So I removed a function from this class. I don't think so. This is where all of this stuff happens anyways. These are the functions that decide whether any of this stuff is ready to go. Sure, we'll just log some stuff here.
We're almost back out of an ad.
Okay.
Sweet. I think we're back. Tough to tell.
We're back in or back out?
I think we are back in. I think we are live.
Yeah, I did change this code recently because I had similar problems to what I was just talking about, where like the UI comes online before or after the controller is done configuring it. So you have to be careful.
I mean, layman's perspective, given the fact that
previously
Unity governs its own UI, like running it through Unity, I could see it working. Having its own fail-safes or whatever, and then not running it through Unity is kind of like, well, have fun. He made it out of the tutorial.
Good. That's really good.
Praise be.
Whoop, wrong button. All right. I have a bunch of log statements now. I'm annoyed that I couldn't attach the debugger to that build.
That is pretty bad.
The crutch. It's a crutch now. Just because,
Attaching the debugger is a crutch?
well, it's just so nice.
I'm pretty sure it's like...
Oh, maybe I just need to do that for the debugger to attach.
Sweet.
Yeah, script debugging. If you don't have that, you can't attach a debugger. That's fine.
Sweet.
I'll do that next time. We'll see if my log statements.
We are coming up on time. I mean,
We are.
We still got 8 minutes left. I'm not sure that it's like...
Yeah.
If you want to keep grinding it out live or not.
Grinder.
Grinder.
Jeez, they're just there. Okay. That should have been all I needed to get my logs.
Sweet, delicious logs. Oh, yeah. So I should just search for red, correct?
Oh. If you want to look for errors, yeah. Okay, so this says... All right, the tutorial spun up and said that the Realtor and Chivo apps should not be enabled. Then the view initializes. That's the part that creates all the little UI widgets. Bunch of other stuff happens.
Item is null, cannot show info text.
That's okay. That's my
Yeah.
new warning.
Yeah. The orange.
And then this is the start of Unity shutting itself down.
Yeah.
This is my own stuff cleaning itself up because it's being shut down. So what I was hoping would happen is something would have hit these values. But that's not it. That's not what happened.
And why those values?
Well,
like, what are you actually trying to do in a practical
that might
sense?
be part of my problem. I'm trying to get a sense of what the sequencing is between the tutorial controller spinning up and saying, look, you've got to turn off these buttons, pal. And the pal being like, look, I turned on the buttons. I was hoping something would just have these govern whether those buttons are enabled. But maybe they don't do it maybe they don't do it thoroughly enough. Yeah, right here we go. We set the display based on whether or not it's enabled. And then same thing here. We set its display property to either see it or don't see it based on whether it's been enabled. And in here, I can see that those values
Or false.
Oh, I think I know what. There's at least one thing that's not adding up in my own head right now.
It's better for streaming if it doesn't stay in your head.
These aren't the ones. These aren't the ones that the tutorial controller sets.
Oh.
It doesn't quite, yeah, see, phone controller is Realtor app enabled. Phone controller is Chivo app enabled. These are different. So if I set these, we invoke this. This is spaghetti time now.
I believe.
There it is. No, that's the. It's plumbed through. Yes, we could. Put a log in here.
I am going to call it a day. I think there's plumbing to do. I think you've got a vacation to take. We're not going to pull the trigger on a build.
Nah.
We got stuff to dig into, but
not today.
Not today. It's a good one though. It's a good catch. We would have just sent it. It's a good catch.
It's good we didn't send it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, enjoy spying on the other person streaming CRUFT.
It will do.
It's a great thing coupled with a sad thing. The sad thing is us not being able to push an update today.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing is somebody deciding to give the game some airtime.
Indeed. So, folks, we will see you Monday.